Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Saturday night / evening, depending on wherever it is that you could be joining us from. It's exactly 6 minutes past the hour over 11 p.m. with 20 today being the 20th of June 2026. I do not know for some reason why these days I'm struggling to find something that I need when it comes to updating our, hey, sort of titles. But it's all right. We'll still find a way. We'll still find a way to get it done. But I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a wonderful day. In as far as the day has been concerned. Jesus Christ. Anyways, yeah, we're enjoying that game between German and Ivory Coast, and as we speak, the game is still goalless. Not much has been created thus far, but yeah, we will be following the updates. And earlier on, we saw the dismantling or the humbling of Sweden against Netherlands. I think the Dutch there were too good to handle, and it is what it is. Sometimes, these things happen. And yeah, it's quite the performance from the likes of Cody Gakpo. But I must say, excuse me, I must say that it was a game that highlighted the performance of Bart Verbruggen as a goalkeeper, then Crescencio Somerville coming on, and then also scoring a beautiful goal. That was incredible. So when you take it on all merits or all fronts or on all accounts, you must really appreciate it for what it was. And very incredible performance from the Dutch side. They'll be really Ronald Koeman must have been really proud with the performance of his boys. But that and more is what we'll be discussing during the course of this broadcast, because the one between Germany and Ivory Coast is still barren. We are yet to find a breakthrough in that one. Kai Havertz attempted, oh, come on. Jesus Christ. Kai Havertz attempted to score in as early as the first minute, even though he wasn't too successful. So there's that. So anyways, we'll see how things go in this one. But whoever wins tonight's game could determine on who will signify on who takes the lead at the summit of the Group B. Is it Group B or Group G? I hope I'm not mixing them up. Butter, hi Butter. Good to have you on the podcast. I hope you're doing okay. Butterfinger Cool. Oh, wow. That's a unique name. What does it mean? That's a unique name. Anyways, we'll be getting to find out what the starting 11s look like for this particular fixture in as far as things go. But yeah, quite sunny or quite hot out there today from the looks of the weather. It's me, Goodman. Oh, challenges. My people keep on changing their names every now and then. So sometimes, Goodman. Oh, Goodman. Challenges that people keep switching their names, so I get lost in the mix of it, which is not a very good thing, really. I'd love it to be really otherwise for me, if I could have the consistency. But I labor not to forget the usual and semi-regular suspects that grace this channel. But in terms, as far as Germany are concerned, they have Manuel Neuer in goal. They have Joshua Kimmich, Jonathan Tah, and Nick Schlotterbeck. They have Felix Mencha, they have Jamal Musiala, Alexander Pavlovich, and Nathaniel Brown, Leroy Sané, Kai Havertz, as well as Flan Vitz. That's how they've set up in a back three. And let's see if it does pay off. Tonight, I'm interested particularly in watching to see whether Yan Diomande is as good as praised, because in terms of the media, Jesus Christ, I don't know why I have a bit of a choke. Have a bit of a choke. You know that thing that happens when you take water and you feel like you want to cough, you know? Anyways, let me hope it doesn't trouble me throughout the course of this broadcast. Romac Venail. Hi, how are you doing? Good to have you the broadcast. Where are you joining us from? On this beautiful Saturday night / evening / afternoon, depending on whatever it is that you could be joining us from. You know? So that's how the Germans have set up in a back three with, two. Now, surprisingly, they are using Alexander Pavlovich, a known number 8, as the holding midfielder, and then along with him, Jamal Musiala. They're trying to use Flan Vitz on the flanks, as well as Leroy Sané to the other side, with Kai Havertz leading the lines as the false 9. On the side of Ivory Cost, for them, they've set up in a 4-3-3 kind of system from the look of things, including Amadou Diallo starting this one because he came off the bench to score in their last game, in which they beat up against Ecuador by 1-0. That goal coming in the 90th minute of the game. I remember when they beat France by 2-1 in their build-up game to this particular as a build-up to this particular showpiece of the World Cup. He had a good game, and I said at some point it's going to warranty that he does start the game. But they have Yahya Fofana in goal. Yes, that's the name. They have Singo, they have Agabdo, they have Conan, they have Kosono, Ibrahim Sangare, Jesus Christ, Olai, yes, Frank Kessie, Amadou Diallo, Angel Boni or Angie Boni, as well as Yan Diomande. Those are the players that are on the turf for the Ivorians to try and get a victory tonight. Will they be able to secure the victory? Your guess is as good as mine, but I know they will be trying. They'll be trying to make sure that they can secure the victory. It's not as simple, but this is Group E, where Germany, following that emphatic victory against Curacao in the opening fixture, put them at the summit of the group with 3 points. And then subsequently, like I said, Ivory Coast beat Ecuador. A draw wouldn't be a bad result for either side, but most definitely the best result would be a win for either side, because then it would guarantee that they make it out of the group stages as things go. Meanwhile, excuse me. Let's wait and see. Okay, in the earlier game, let's talk about the earlier game as we see how this one transpires. In the earlier game between Netherlands and Sweden, in which Netherlands obliterated Sweden, beating them by 5-1. Brian Brobby scoring a brace in the 50th minute and the 17th minute to give the Dutch a 2-0 lead, while Cody Gakpo very early on in the second half in the 47th minute and in the 54th minute made it 4-0 before Antonio Elanga, who came off the bench, scored in the 59th minute to make it 4-1, and then Crescencio Somerville, who came off the bench, made it 5-1. Now, in terms of the game itself, when it came to the quality of the pitch and the overall display, there wasn't such a big gap between the two sides. Meanwhile, Nick Schulterback is back, or Nico Schulterback is back, or after receiving some treatment. Like, you did not feel a gulf of quality between the two sides, despite the scoreline. But what it boiled down to was one team being more effective than the other when it came to, getting that ball to cross the line. Oh, we have somebody join the broadcast. Jesus Christ, how do I even pronounce your name? I wouldn't want to bite my tongue trying to pronounce your name. Can you kindly give me a simpler name that I can pronounce? Or I don't know, make it shorter for me. But I can see you have a family in there. Fong? Is it Fong? Is it Fong? Is that how it is pronounced? Anyways, hi to you too. Good to have you in the broadcast. So, but like I say, what I did witness, and that's why I mentioned that Bart Verbruggen, the Dutch goalkeeper, was really, really, really brilliant. Was really, really brilliant. We're talking about Sweden having 20 shots on goal, 9 on target, but scoring with only 1. Whereas the Dutch had 12 shots on goal, 7 on target. And with 7 on target, they scored with 5. They scored 5. So it shows you the effectiveness of, meanwhile, Jamal Musiala just tried to bend it to the far post, but could not find the target. So, but Verbruggen was the difference in this particular game, because Victor Gyökeres, I think he had as many as 3 or 4 attempts on goal. Alexander Isak, they both took aim at him, including Victor Gyökeres going for the direct free kick, but they could not find the breakthrough. It's very, very unfortunate. And that's how cruel football can be sometimes. It reminds me of the games I've watched of Turkey. Turkey last night lost by 0-0 against a 10-man Paraguay, and it was Miguel Almiron that was given a red card for covering his mouth during a confrontation with an opponent. And he got a red card. So, and in that game, Paraguay had only 2 shots on target. Turkey had 6. They dominated possession to the tune of 78%. But a total of 33 shots at goal. Now, obviously, 33 and you only have 6 on target, that in itself is as poor as a success rate as you get it. But I enjoyed watching Turkey play. My disappointment is as good as everybody else's disappointment, that they just did not know how to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's exactly what happened to them in the first game when they played Australia. They just could not. They played good football. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And Australia simply did the good job of putting the ball in the back of the net. And now they've been sent packing. Now, the idea is that their fate is as good as sealed. And it's been communicated that they are the first team to be eliminated from the World Cup. But I'm going to hang on to my breath and wait to see how the final games of the group stages span out. Okay. Felix Mencha trying to conjure out something here. Okay. Chipes says, hey Robert, hey Chipes, good to have you back. What a bad day for Sweden. A bad day indeed. Fong says hi once again. Raymond Kangumba says hi. What a bad day for Sweden. That's from Ray. A bad day indeed. What are your thoughts for the Netherlands? And then what country are you in? That is from Romac. First of all, as far as the country is concerned, I'm in Kampala, Uganda, a small landlocked country in the eastern part of Africa. Oh, and Germany have scored. But looks like the goal won't stand. I would be interested in knowing how this one has been cancelled. Has it been deemed a foul on the goalkeeper? But has poor goalkeeping. I mean, he comes in to challenge for the ball. Unless the referee is telling us that he should not be challenging for that ball. As poor goalkeeping, because he does not get a proper grasp of the ball. He does not punch it away. He had the opportunity to do that. And they are, what? You want to penalize? What's wrong in that? Somebody tell me, what's wrong in that? It's a genuine challenge for the ball. It's a genuine challenge for the ball. You know? Someone help me make it make sense. How is that a foul if it's not a genuine challenge for the ball? You know? But you know, Jesus Christ. Alexander Pavlovich challenged genuinely for the ball. Anyways, I'm still telling you about my country. I come from Uganda, small landlocked country nestled in the eastern part of Africa, with our neighbors being Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan in the north. That's Kenya to the east, Tanzania to the south, Rwanda to the southwest, and DRC Congo to the east, to the west, sorry. So that's the country I'm from. Also dubbed the Pearl of Africa by Sir Winston Churchill, in case you care to find out more. You say my thoughts, your thoughts on, you asked for my thoughts on Netherlands. Now, Netherlands have always been a good country. They've always been a great footballing nation. They've just been unlucky because they're the only country that I know of that has played in 3 different World Cup finals and has not won any. That's in 2010. I think you have to go back in 1978 and in 1974, around those periods. I mean, that's how unlucky you could say they've been, you know, to an extent, you know. So it sounds very unfortunate, but it is their reality. It is their reality. As much as you'd love it to be otherwise or to be different, you know, it's simply their reality, you know, that they've played 3 finals and lost 1974, 1978, and 2010. So, but in terms of producing quality, they've always had good players. Even when you go back to, you know, the 90s, when they had the likes of Edwin van der Sar, Clarence Seedorf, like late 90s coming into the early 2000s, Mark Overmars, Ronald Koeman, when you go back to years gone by, etc., etc. So present day, when you look at them on paper, they really have a good team. They have a good team that you look onto and you ought to think to yourself, this is a capable team, you know. Hi, Epic. Good evening. Good to have you back with us. So when you look at the goalkeeping situation, high reluctant gamer, Bart Verbruggen, they have a Robin Rufus in there, who is the third choice goalkeeper. I'm forgetting, but he's equally very, very good. Yes, Sunny. No, that one is Dutch. Sorry, that one is from Belgium. How did I, miss that? Okay, so but it's to say that they have really, really good goalkeepers. So yes, Mark Flecken, formerly at Brentford and currently at Bayer Leverkusen. So that's a pretty decent side. So when you look at their defenders, and this is without the likes of Jurgen Timber, Denzel Dumfries, John Paul Van Hecke, Virgil van Dijk. Yes, he's approaching the evenings of his career, but then you have a Mickey van der Ven, Ryan Gravenberch, Frankie de Jong, Tijan Wijnders. All these are players that play for top sides. Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool, Bart Verbruggen at Brighton, Mickey van der Ven at Tottenham. Denzel Dumfries has been at Inter Milan. He's gone to Real Madrid. Van Hecke is now going to Tottenham. Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool. Frankie de Jong at Barcelona. Tijan Wijnders at Manchester City. Daniel Malen at AC Roma has now joined them permanently from Aston Villa. Brian Brobby at Sunderland. Cody Gakpo at Liverpool. So that's a fairly, really good team, you know, when you look at it that way. So, I mean, they have the quality in the squad and they are capable of beating up against any opponent. I just do not delude myself into thinking that they are going to win it. Why? Because they've never done it. It's not always been their luck. So that's what but today's performance was good. They had a good performance. And the difference between them and Sweden, even though the gap was not big, is that they were more effective when it came to the getting in front of goal. That was the significant difference when it came to the two sides. Otherwise, the rest was almost the same. You know, when you look at this possession, or you know, Sweden had even more attempts on goal than the Dutch. Sweden had as many as 12 attempts on target, but could only score with 1. The Dutch had 7 on target and scored 5. So that was the difference. Okay, let me quickly go through some of these comments. Okay, Raymond says, "Hi, how are you? How are you, Fernandes? Pedro and Sadio Emala should sign for Newcastle." Okay. What a birthday for Sweden. I think we went through that. Somebody asking me my country, I responded to that. My thoughts on Netherlands, I think I've given that. Then Romak, you said, what are your thoughts on your country? Now, thoughts on my country. It's a beautiful country, good weather, good people, the most welcoming people you'll find anywhere on planet Earth. Overall, the country is a good place to be. That's if you do not get in the politics of it. The politics of it may cause you a headache. So outside of the politics, we're really a good, beautiful country. Okay, so many, you know, mountains, game parks, game reserves, bird viewing. You want to go fishing. You want to eat some Nile perch, some tilapia. You want to see the Nile crocodile. You want to see the source of the River Nile, which is the longest river in Africa. And it's a beautiful goal. Ivory Coast take the lead. Frank Kessie has scored to give the Ivorians the lead. Hi, JFT. Yo, my guy. Good to have you back. What's the score? It's 1-0 in favor of Ivory Coast against German. And you came at just the exact moment when Frank Kessie had just put the ball in the back of the net. So that's what I can tell you about my country in a bit. Chipe says, what's the German match score? I'm not seeing the match right now. Sorry, Chipes, for responding to your comment a little bit late. By the time when you asked about the scoreline, the game was still goalless, but now it is 1-0 in favor of Ivory Coast. It was Amadou Diallo who attempted to score first, but that ball was blocked out, I think, by was blocked out, and then the rebound. That's what Frank Kessie latched on to, you know, to make it 1-0. I think it was Nathaniel Brown, who, I don't know, not sure, who put in the block particularly, but it did appear to be him before Frank Kessie got the rebound. And now it's 1-0 in favor of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations champions, who also won it in 2015 and I think in 1992. That's Ivory Coast, to the best of my recollection. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, on the 1992 edition. But that's just about it. Not watching the German game. How is it so far? I think I've responded to that. Worth a watch? I would say yes, worth a watch. I mean, we've not had so many great moments in the opening half an hour. To be honest, it's been a bit of a 50-50, and now the goal separates the two sides. But like I said, particularly, I'm interested, one, in watching Yan Diomande, whether he's capable of tormenting the Germans. And let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Then, okay, does your country compete in World Cups nowadays? No. Not in the Football World Cup because we've never qualified for that one, but we've qualified for the Netball World Cup, and the Ukrainians have oftentimes done us well or fairly proud. Then we've been to the World Athletics with runners like Joshua Cheptegei, Jacob Kiplimo, among others, Stephen. My microphone. Wait up. I know. I have a microphone that behaves really, really bad these days. Um, it's spoiled. I don't know. I just need to find means of securing a better one, but or a better set because I like to have a full set, not where only one is working. But yeah, that's basically what is happening. Or that's what I can tell you about Uganda. So we've qualified also for the Cricket World Cup before. Yeah, those kinds of other sporting disciplines. But when it comes to football, we've never qualified for the World Cup. That's why I support Team Brazil when it comes to the World Cup, and Ghana as well. So that's about it. Okay. Um, okay, what's the score? Goal KI, high KI. Where can I watch the match? That's Romak Venel. I do not know where you can get it online because I'm using pay TV or subscription TV. Um, as brought to me by Supersport or Match Choice. So I do not know where you can find the game online. Ash, it's been ages. You say Ivory Coast squad. KI said go Africa. Steve Harrington back with us saying Netherlands won. The one indeed. Congratulations to the Dutch. I mean, if they continue with that level of effectiveness, they'll go a long way in the competition. And then somebody called Cherry said, Cherry Risbach said, hi, don't know if you remember me, but I am Leo. I hope you remember me. Leo. Was it just one name, Leo? The name Leo does ring a bell, but was it just one name? Kindly remind me of that. Cherise Risbach. I mean, guys, let me ask. Let me try to understand from a novice, me, Leo. Leo. Oh, let me not confuse Leo and Snow, because there was a gentleman called Snow. He was from the US, but at the time he was living in South Africa. So it's not Snow. But the name does ring a bell. Let me get it from you guys. What causes the change of names? Like, why do you people like change your usernames? Because it happens more often than I care to admit. It's happened with Peter Parker today when he shows up. He's Danny, um, Daniel. No, not Daniel Titon. Somebody else, but a couple of other people. What causes the change in names? Is it a force or is it a personal preference? Because for me, that's where I usually get challenged because oftentimes I remember people by their names. So when somebody changes their name, I read it as though as a new person. Say it's me, Mr. Leo. Okay, good to have you back, Mr. Leo. I hope you've been doing okay. I hope you've been doing well. But what's by the way, what's your prediction for this game? Let's put out uh, uh, the poll question, predictions. You know, who will win? Uh-huh. who will win this game of German versus Ivory Coast? I'm putting up a poll question for us to partake in. I'll say Ivory Coast first. After all, they are the ones leading, right? Fair enough, right? And then we'll say German, and then we'll put the third option being a draw, right? Draw. Although, so guys, you can participate in the poll. In the poll question, who do you think is going to win this game? Do you think German will win? Do you think it's going to end in a draw, or do you think Ivory Coast will hang on to that 1-0 lead and eventually win the game? Maybe even score more. You never know. Anything can happen. It's football. But the Germans have not been very electric going forward. Their interplay has not been at its best, but they try to conjure out something. Leroy Sané almost feels like a man in the evenings of his career. Like he's no longer effective. He's no longer as good as he used to be, you know. It's 3 versus 3. Oh, what a beautiful save from Manuel Neuer. That's what you get from a goalkeeper of his experience. That's what you get from a goalkeeper of his experience. But Bonny had tried to test him. Now here come the Germans. There's nobody in the box. Kai Havertz simply just arriving, dispossessed. Something is lacking in this German side. First of all, remember, Joshua Kimmich was played in the back three, so they're not having that grit in midfield. German had scored the equalizer, but the referee has called a foul at the edge of the 18 yards box around the D area. Jamal Musiala tripped somebody. He sort of stuck his leg out. He stuck his leg out to bring down Kosono, so the goal won't stand. But Kai Havertz had scored for what they would have thought would restore parity, but the goal does not stand. Here they come again. It's bound to get feist. I can see tempers, the emotions beginning to run high. Epic said Havertz is so clutch that I'm sure he will score. I mean, when you watch Kai Havertz score a goal, he makes you think he's the best finisher of the ball, or one of the best finishers of the ball you will ever watch. But because he doesn't do it more often or very consistently, it often brings us into the question of what's his best position. Is it as a false 9, as a 10, as a midfielder from a deeper role? What's his, And here they come. Amadou Diallo. It's 1v1. You can take on Nathaniel Brown. Come on. Sort of slept on the job. And then Jonathan Tah. Was it Jonathan Tah? I think it was Felix Mencha who came to the rescue of the Germans. Serious Fun Bat says, Harambe Stars, your job is just to run around the field like you're in a marathon. Football is played in a cross-country race. Learn to control the ball. That's a Serious Fun Bat. He's talking to the Harambe Stars of Kenya. He's talking about Kenya. I'd want to assume or presume he's from Kenya. Nick Scholterberg is one of the best headers of the ball in this German team. Finally, Ivory Coast scrum and clear their lines. Okay, game was stopped for a quick VAR check. Check complete. No fouls in the area. Oh, come on. Yan Diomande. Let's see what he's capable of. Come on. Cut on the inside. Remember, Ivory Coast are under the charges of Amos Faye, who guided them to the triumph of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, the edition that they hosted. It was played between late 2023, that's in December, to January 2024. Okay. KI says, where's Zaha? Wilfred Zaha? Nah, Wilfred Zaha is an afterthought at the Ivorian national team. Yes, Amos Faye did replace Jean-Louis Gasset, who was sacked, I think, after the first, was it after the first game? First two games at AFCON? Referee says play on. Oh, come on. Germans are being so clumsy with their passes, so many loose passes. Ivory Coast are playing some really, really good football. Their counter press is looking good. How they sort of fight to win the ball back and how they drive forward, although that sort of final third play is still not as great as well. It's not much different from that of the Germans, if we're being honest. Joshua Kimmich with his capital of attacking shot. Ivory Coast are defending really, really well. Must give it to them. Flan Witz has yet to have the slightest of a beautiful moment in this game. Yan Diomande so far has not been as good as advertised. We're into the 45th minute of the opening stanza. We're to see how much time will be added in. Don't think it will be beyond 4 minutes. Only 1 minute. Oh, sorry, 7 minutes of added time. Wow, interesting. Ivory Coast are currently pinged back into their own area. The Germans trying to find the solution. Now will be a good time for the Ivorians to win the ball back and catch this German side on the break. Because they are overcommitting numbers really, really high up the pitch. Their rest defense, the distance between the goalkeeper and the rest defense, that's huge. That's a huge gap. Uh-oh. As a good strike. Jean Louis. City. Okay. Guys. Okay. KI says shadow. The shadow mid screen annoys me. Ah. Come on. Somebody going to attempt to try and shoot from distance. Come on. It's a tight angle, but you could go for goal there. Jamal Musiala. Ball is off. Amadou Diallo off of the ball. They win the free kick. Oh, it's not a free kick. The referee says play on. Looks like Julian Nagelsmann is not too pleased about that. It's the case of self-tripping. Jamal Musiala trying to appeal to the referee, but in vain. There's an Ivory Coast player down. Ivory Coast are now playing to see out the opening stanza and go take a breather and see how best to shape up for the second half. May require to take a page out of Paraguay's play against Turkey last evening. Here they come. Beautiful pass. Uh-oh. Only giving them a bit of hard time. His hold-up play has been brilliant. He could not have given that as a foul. It's a corner kick for Ivory Coast with about 3 minutes of the 7 added minutes for the opening stanza left. That was just a poor corner to the near post, not high enough. Frank Kessie has had a good game thus far for Team Ivory Coast. He's shown a great sense of maturity and leadership. I'm waiting for somebody to carry that ball on and dribble past players. Oh, Diomande did just a little too much there. Germans beginning to feel the heat in terms of the pressure of wanting to win. Oh, come on, that's just a poor ball. Alexander Pavlovich was not aware of his surroundings. That's something I don't like about players who are not positionally aware of their surroundings. As a midfielder, at all times, you must be scanning. You must have your side mirrors working. You must have your ears working for you at all times. That as soon as you receive the ball, you're aware of the danger. We are into the final minute of stoppage time of the first half. Let's see how that one goes. Seven votes thus far. 43% of you think German will win. And 29% of you think it will end in a draw, while the other 29% believe Ivory Coast will win. Uh-oh. Was he not offside? Oh, come on. Franvich tried to dance through some defenders. Zone side. Oh. It's halftime. Ivory Coast 1, German 0. Looks like we won't looks like the Germans will have to go and self-correct during the interval, but it's been a good game. I thought Ivory Coast competed really, really well. Defensively, they looked good. They've not given away much spaces. They've stifled Germany's. They've closed down the spaces. Ordinarily, when you edge closer to the goal, when you would be asking the Germans to try and shoot, they've kept it tight. So it's been 2 shots on target for either side. Germany have had a very poor XG of 0.33% compared to 0.75% of Ivory Coast. Shots of target have been 2 for German and 0 for Ivory Coast. Block shots have been 4-2. That's in favor of German. German have dominated possession to the tune of 61% compared to 39% of Ivory Coast. But all that notwithstanding, it is Ivory Coast with the most important statistic of the game at the interval, thanks to that goal scored by Frank Kessie. Frank Kessie, what an unbelievable player. Yeah, good player. I remember he had a stint at AC Milan, one at Barcelona, and yeah, he's always been one of those players. And you remember he also scored for Ivory Coast in the finals when they beat Nigeria by 2-1, while the other goal was scored by Jesus Christ. This Sebastian Haller, yes, was the other goal scorer who scored in that final, while William Trost Ekong scored for the Nigerians in that final that the Ivorians won by 2-1 to win their 3rd ever Africa Cup of Nations. You say combative, good technical flow, high IQ, yeah, a joy to watch. That's that's United Road 10. Hi, United Road 10. By the way, forgive the prejudice in me, but I thought the first thing you're going to come here to gloat about was Matas Cunha's performance against Haiti. But good to have you around. Unfortunately, I've not seen your girlfriend, Onia. Today, this is our very first broadcast. Ordinarily, we do a broadcast in the morning or in the mid-morning on Saturdays, but we did not do one. And the reason for it is simple. I watched football all throughout last night. I watched the game that kicked off at, I think, 1 a.m. Was it 1 a.m.? Yes. And then watched the one that kicked off at 3:30 a.m. That's between Brazil and Haiti. And then watched the game that kicked off at 6 a.m. between Turkey and Paraguay, although I only watched the opening half of that one and sort of gave up on that one. Okay, you say Lolo Vala, she's been hiding. She's been a bit on and off. I can only hope that she's doing well, for whatever reason that could be keeping her away. You say I'll gloat after he lifts the World Cup as the top scorer. Fair enough. That means at least you wish Team Brazil well. But anyway, you have every reason to. You wish Carlos Casemiro well, even though he's officially joined Inter Miami. Then Matheus Cunha, the Samba boy with his dances and the swimming celebration. Jesus Christ. It feels nice for watching your team win. I know it's only Haiti, and I cannot sort of dwell too much on it, but a win is a win. Of course, he has gone to Inter Miami. Cass has gone to Inter Miami. Yes, didn't even know. So Messi didn't mind the Cristiano link. What do you mean Messi didn't mind the Cristiano link? Kindly indulge me on that one. If it's a pickup line that I'm supposed to pick, forgive my slow brain for having not registered that one. No. Let me tell you, as much as you love, let's say, Cristiano Ronaldo, for as long as you're not biased, sometimes fans love certain players so much so that it blinds them of the goodness of others. So whether you played with Cristiano Ronaldo, whether you just love him as a great footballer or a great person, if you do not have any bias in you, you'll have to maybe appreciate the idea of playing with Lionel Messi one day or someday, Okay, so basically that's how I would look at it, in my humble opinion. You say, I say that because we all know Leo is the director of football at Inter. Okay, so he has to link the player he signs off on to bring in. Cristiano wouldn't have brought Busquets to Al Nassr. Jesus Christ. I understand. You know that narrative comes from Messi's recommendation that they sign Rodrigo de Paul. I think from Atletico de Madrid at the time when he went to join, Inter Miami. But whichever way you think of it, Casemiro is good. It's good for the MSL. When you look at the pace of the league, Sergio Busquets has been there for quite some time, and he's also coming of age. So it's only fair that they freshen things up. It's only fair. Meanwhile, so Ipswich Town are working to finalize a deal to appoint Gary O'Neill as their new head coach. That's after positive talks with the 43-year-old plus Blue Co. Possible announcement, early exit, well regarded for work at FCB and WWFs. So, I mean, Gary O'Neill, I may have my reservations, but he's a fairly good coach. Then Tottenham Hotspurs have open talks with Newcastle over deal for Sandro Tonali. Manchester City pursuit ongoing. Man City plus Tottenham talking to the 26-year-old's representatives in a bid to agree personal terms, but contacting Newcastle shows Spurs' intent to get a deal done. So there it is now, Manchester City competing with Tottenham Hotspurs for the signature of the 26-year-old Italian midfield maestro in Sandro Tonali. Okay, then Fabrizio Romano with an exclusive of his own. Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll get to that one in a bit. But he says, according to Fabrizio Romano, regarding the deal for Sandro Tonali, he says Tottenham bid was sent 3 days ago and was rejected by Newcastle. It was worth 75 million pounds. Was never going to be enough for Newcastle to sell. Apparently, Newcastle want a fee in the region of 100 million pounds for like the total package. Whatever they agree upon on should be in that region. And I really can't blame them. I really can't blame them because, and actually, if I were them, I would be even demanding more. Why? Because if Nottingham Forest are wanting something in north of 120 million pounds for Elliot Anderson, I do not think, if I'm Newcastle, I'm going to look at that as the benchmark to set my price. When you look at players like Moises Caicedo going for 115 million pounds, when you look at Enzo Fernandez, when you look at Declan Rice, so when you look at that bracket of players, you see that in terms of quality, they're not miles apart. So you're going to put them within the same realm or within the same bracket of saying that this should be the expectation for for the asking fee. But the mere fact that Tottenham are making moves is really crucial. What are your thoughts on the whole Cristiano issue on and off the pitch, as well as Neves' comments and the aftermath? Oh, in Joao Neves saying he's just like any other player. Well, let's be honest, Cristiano Ronaldo is not just like any other player. I think that will be too... Okay, let me give you the example. All dairy cows are dairy cows. But if one is giving you 40 liters of milk per day, we cannot compare it to the one that is giving you half that or even less than half that. So basically, you all can be good players, but if some players are more important than others. If I were to put it in political terms, I'd say not all cabinet ministers are equal. Tomorrow, if the Minister of Environment resigns, no problem. If the Minister of Finance or etc resigns, we are bound to blink. We're bound to think, where's the economy heading? Why? Because it's more important. So equally, Joao Neves saying it's just like any other player, it's just to say, yeah, in as far as the dressing room is concerned, we are all equal. But we know that some animals are more equal than others out there in the jungle. Then when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, I've said this before without any fear of contradiction whatsoever. Portugal can win without him. Do they need him? Yes. Can they win without him? Yes. And my view was that it's easier to bring him into a game than to take him out of the game. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if I'm Roberto Martinez, I'll be thinking, yeah, come on, you're 41. You're no longer as effective as the 26, 28-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, let alone the one at 33. You're far from that. So I'm going to use you sparingly. I'll bring you on after the 70th minute or after 65 minutes, whatsoever the case is. Because we can use the game against DRC Congo as a benchmark. For as long as we are not winning, it becomes difficult to withdraw your highest ever goal scorer. You know, I mean, it makes sense to think about it that way. But let's also acknowledge the idea or the fact that the energy and the gas that he has for an entire 9 minutes is not the equivalent of the 20-year-olds and the 25-year-olds Vetinias, etc. Then, if you think he must start, then play to his strength. First of all, I'll tell him that no matter where the ball is, no matter what situation we are in, other than set piece that we have to defend a corner kick, a free kick, please stay within the final third. There's no reason as to why you're drifting as far back as the center line. What are you going to do to help us do? You're not going to drive the ball 40 yards? No. You're not going to help us recycle play? No. So keep within the 5-3. And we'll try to make sure that as we play, every time we carry the ball forward, we'll try to find you when you're onside. You get? So in other words, do not come back to the midfield. You're going to help us with the counter press. If the team is building from behind, not because we expect you to win the ball back for us, but apply a bit of pressure. Let's make the pitch smaller for you, because your energy to run is not as good as it was maybe, let's say, 10 years ago. So out of that acknowledgement, that will be the request for him if I were the head coach. Then 2, I'll make sure that I play players around him that are capable of playing to his strength. Today we did premiere a 1-hour video with one of Uganda's best artists in Waiki Benda. And we in that 1-hour long interview, we also get to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. First of all, for him, is not of the view that, in a way, Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the reasons as to why Portugal could be impeded. But when we say play players that can play to his strength, what do we mean? Put Francesco Conceição on the wing. Why are you putting Bernardo Silva there? Why are you trying to make it a must that Bernardo Silva can play? Somebody suggested, why not play him in a 4-4-2 system where he plays with Goncalo Ramos? And I said, you can do it, but you will need players that play for you in the midfield. That's Vitinha and whoever you partner him with, whether it's Joao Neves, Ruben Neves, or whichever, or Bernardo Silva, or Bruno Fernandes, to have the legs to chase that ball, because it puts you at a numerical advantage during the counter play when the opponent team creates overloads in that midfield. So it may not be the best, it may not be the most wise decision. So for me, I would play Vitinha. I'll play him alongside Joao Neves because they're already accustomed to playing with each other at Team PSG. I'll put Bruno Fernandes in the number 10 role, or the creative midfield role, and then I'll put Pedro Neto and Francesco Conceição. My substitutes, I know I'll have a Rafaelia waiting, that sort of thing. And one of the things that I'm going to tell my wingers to do is that do not wait to get to the byline. As soon as you find the space, try and cross that ball into the box. Cristiano Ronaldo is a good head of the ball. Let's put in as many crosses as possible. Let's, and if we need to cut it back for an arriving Bruno Fernandes, let's try and do that, So, and we're going to tell Bruno Fernandes, as soon as you get hold of this ball, yes, take your sights high up the pitch. Scan, where is Cristiano Ronaldo? Is he in a good position to receive the ball, or do we need to recycle possession a bit? Or are you the one going to drive it forward to try and find for us a goal, or do you need to go to the flanks and find Conceição or Pedro Neto? That sort of thing you get. If you find he's not offside, Bruno Fernandes is capable of playing that pinpoint long pass. He's capable of doing that. He's capable of playing a through ball in the channel. Cristiano Ronaldo can still run a channel, So, but we must make sure that he is running a short space of the field, not this idea of we want you involved in our play as much as possible. Anyway, the second half has resumed for German against Ivory Coast. We're into the 47th minute already. Okay. You say, fair enough, it's hard to know if Cristiano should be dropped, though, because they aren't creating chances. Exactly. Now, somebody made the argument, because he was challenging those who are the school of thought that why not play Goncalo Ramos first? And the question that they raised was, what is Goncalo Ramos going to feed on that you cannot feed Cristiano Ronaldo? So if you're not creating chances with Goncalo Ramos not on the pitch, what makes you think you're going to create them when he comes on the pitch? So, but anyways, And then if I'm Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the other things that I'm going to tell my teammates is that do not be afraid to score or to attempt to score. In other words, shoot from distance if you find yourself in a good space. I'm going to do my best to drag defenders out of position because of my threat. I'll try to create diversions, etc., etc. So as soon as you find a gap there, try to go for it, as opposed to being sort of wired into looking for me. You do not necessarily to have look for me. Let me operate as your dummy, as your decoy. We've seen Brad Erling Haaland do that for Manchester City. He comes in as a decoy, and Nico O'Reilly pops in and is the one tapping the ball in the back of the net. So, as Cristiano Ronaldo, to bring maturity to the game, that's what I'm going to tell my teammates. It doesn't matter if I score, it matters that we score. So, as much as I would love a World Cup goal, it's more important that the team wins than that I score. That's the message as a leader in that dressing room that I'm going to be telling those players. I do not know if he's told them that. I do not know if he's not told them that. So, but that's how I would want to think of it. You said, okay, you say we know he's only a finisher now. True, Cristiano and Vitinha, there is a tension there. CR7 seemed to be telling him to get the ball out quicker at the start of the second half, and Vitinha gave the what the fuck look. Now, this should be boiling down to the coach, Roberto Martinez. You should be the one even telling those words to Vitinha. Why? Vitinha is accustomed to playing in a PSG team where they are possession based. They like to be dominant with the ball and they recycle the ball so much. And Ivory Cost coming close to a second, but they could not capitalize on the chance because he needs to understand that there is no Kivicha Kvaratskhelia in this team. There's no Ousmane Dembele in this team. There's no Desiree Doué in this team. So he must adapt as well. And then somebody made the argument to say Portugal is a collection of stars. They do not play as a team. They do not know how to play as a team. But they're a bunch of stars where everybody thinks that they are going to be the star of the team. Everybody thinks they have to be the player that makes the difference because they're that good. It's okay to have the mentality of wanting to make the difference, to be the star of the team. But, German are living dangerously. They've conceded thus far 2 chances in the second half. So you said true. I think there is a big difference in philosophy. Yeah, there's obviously a big difference. But it's okay for a player to have the mentality that I must take responsibility. But in taking responsibility, it comes back to decision making because you can impact play without necessarily scoring. That's what people must learn. And for example, Bruno Fernandes had that disappointment of a cutback ball that was laid by Francesco Conceição, and he was screaming at Cristiano Ronaldo to let it for him to strike it. And today we are discussing about that moment, and somebody said, what if Cristiano Ronaldo did a dummy or a zero? You remember that one Romelu Lukaku did for Nacer Chadli as Belgium beat Japan 3-2 in the quarterfinals of the 2018 World Cup. What a moment it would have been. But I don't know whether he never had his call or he just did not hit to his call. Because, yeah, a player like Cristiano Ronaldo has not become what he is without being selfish. So there's a possibility that he had him, but he chose to be selfish. So there's a lot of that. And then I saw Thierry Henry analyzing that moment and apportioning blame on Cristiano Ronaldo about him making it about himself than the team. But then instead of Rio Ferdinand giving us a counter argument to that, he said he feels that there's a bit of animosity coming from Thierry Henry towards Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, even if you are right, that that's what you feel and think, give us a counter argument to what he's explained to us, to say, this as a striker, this was what he's thinking. If I'm him, this is what I'm thinking I can do. You get the point, as opposed to reducing it to a personal feud in a way. And he goes back to cite a game, I don't know, in where Cristiano Ronaldo scores the winning goal against Arsenal and Thierry Henry, like when they played Arsenal. And I'm thinking to myself, come on. The guy has been retired for quite some time now. We cannot be dwelling on that one moment. Ivory Cost joking. Frank Kessie. That's an opportunity to put the game to bed. Amadou Diallo did brilliantly well, but Frank Kessie, was just a heavy touch on the control of the ball. But German made some changes, introducing Antonio Rudiger in their backline. Let's see. Nico Scholterbach was the player that was withdrawn to accommodate Antonio Rudiger. Okay. You say, yeah, you say he wanted a goal. He saw what Messi did. I know. You see, now that's the thing that we're talking about. If it is still a competition between him and Lionel Messi, then the team could lose at the expense of that, of trying to find that. Because tomorrow, let me ask, would you rather, do you think, would you rather Portugal win the World Cup without Cristiano Ronaldo scoring a single goal than Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 5 goals and them not winning the World Cup? Which one do you think would weigh more than the other? Because the team's overall success must be more important than the individual pursuit for glory and success. So yes, Kylian Mbappe scored a brace. The subsequent day, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick, etc. I couldn't give a rat's ass about any of that, because I'll be thinking the team has to win. Because we're talking about the first game of the group stage. We're not talking about the third game of the group stage, where you've already won 2 and have been confirmed to have qualified out of the group. So when the stakes are that high, the pursuit for individual glory has to go to the side. The idea of them being a collection of stars and not being a team, that would have been the moment that defines it. But it wasn't. But I understand where you're coming from to say that, Messi had scored. You say, but Titi hates CR7 since early 2000s, so you do not listen to him when it comes to CR7. Now, for me, unless I've seen somebody consistently biased about somebody, that's where I would say, yeah, you're prejudiced about that. So I won't listen to your opinion because I know what to expect from you. Now, 2 things. Remember, Thierry Henry played for Barcelona, and he's a Barcelona fan through and through. So everything Real Madrid, he does not like, unless, of course, you're Kylian Mbappe, you're a fellow countryman. I get that bit. But the question I wanted to ask, in his analysis, in his view of pointing that part out, was he wrong? Or was he right? Because 2 things can be right. It could be that he was biased. It could be also that he was right in his assessment of the moment in itself. To say, if a player of Cristiano Ronaldo's experience, he ought to have done better in that situation because he has the experience. So that's why I was asking for a counter argument against his narrative or his assessment of the situation, as opposed to it being reduced to the individuals of I like him, I don't like him. Because once you reduce a debate or a discussion to individuals, then you're bound to lose the whole essence of the discussion. You know, you say, I get it, but to be honest, Henry hates CR7 a bit too much, so it's not very professional. Okay, that's your view of it. I tried. Did you see the saw way Henry once handed him one of the Ballon d'Ors, and he always attacks him, to be honest? Not that I've been keen to follow the conversation that he attacks him or otherwise, if I'm being honest. Diomande, that was a big chance. He lacks the technique. Well, trust me, one of the reasons as to why I tuned into this game was to watch Yan Diomande play. And he's not, as far as this game is concerned, he's not been as good as advertised. Now, Leroy Sané being withdrawn, Jamal Musiala out, as well as Alexander Pavlovich have all been withdrawn. And the players coming on include Lewil Ling, Wundav, and Amir. Amir. That sounds more Turkish than German. Okay, but it is what it is. You say, hi, Ivory Costs have won, German lost, German, Ivory Coast will make it to the World Cup. This is way okay. Uh-oh. It's not a head injury, so he's not. The referee is not obligated to bring play to a stop. Lewi Ling, Jesus Christ. Hope that's how it's pronounced. Okay. Looks like 38% of you think Ivory Coast are going to win. 38% think German will also win. 25% of you think it's going to be a draw. That's out of the 8 votes cast so far. Yan Diomande, in as far as this game is being concerned, not as good as advertised. Not sure that's what RB Leipzig could want to see if they intend to milk more from those suitors, with Liverpool and PSG leading the interest in the 19-year-old Ivorian, who, by the way, had trials at Crystal Palace, at FC Bournemouth, at Rangers, at Olympiacos, and during those trials, apparently it was, I think, Eze and Olise who told him he was really good, even though he never got signed. He lost his sister at the age of 15. So when he moved to the USA, all he knew was French, could not speak English, and it was that sister that he lost that was carrying him through and through. So Joshua Kimmich trying to set up his side for a perfect corner kick. The goalkeeper came for the ball, but he missed it. And then Kai Havertz could not put it on target. German scored a goal from the set piece, but it was ruled out for a possible foul. But I did not think there was a foul. It was a clear contention for the ball, and the goalkeeper fumbled the ball in the back of his own net. I don't know what the referee saw exactly. The Ivorians have been really, really physical. As have been the Ivor. Oh, Ivory Coast are really, really defending in numbers. Amiri. Oh, a clash of knees with Ibrahim Sangare. That can be really, really painful. We're into the 64th minute of the game. Soon we'll be heading for the hydration break. Come on, try to move that ball much quicker. They are recycling possession, but the pace at which they are moving the ball makes it easy for the Ivorians to retreat back into their defensive shape. Come on. What's wrong with that? It's his own teammate that barges into him. And even with that, it's not like he really clashed with his shoulder, that it was shoulder to shoulder, that, that was an absolute fake. KI, you're saying you're watching? In his right thigh. It's a goal. 1-1. German have at last restored parity. They are back in business. Why are they playing in Canada though? Because that's where the game was scheduled. Remember, there are three host nations in Mexico, Canada, and USA. So, oh, beautiful cross, beautiful tap in. Nothing that the goalkeeper would do about that. And Julian Nagelsmann celebrates. Wow. So Rafinha has a muscle injury in his right thigh. Brazil tests have confirmed. Rafinha will now undergo intensive treatment, staying with the Brazil squad at the World Cup and trying to recover for the later stages. He will miss the upcoming game against Scotland. Time to KI is, let me see, you say time to sub in Drogba. There's no Didier Drogba Investebile in this one. Not even he can save them. But Denise Undav is our goal scorer as the Germans restored parity. I've seen one of those German kits that I really, really liked, with a German fan wearing it in the stands. The sort of plain white with the stripes only in the rib cages. Oh, that's overly ambitious. I hope the Ivorians do not take their foot off the gas, because then they will get punished. You said jokes aside, Ivory Coast missed so many chances at the start of the second half. That's very true. Wasted opportunities may come back to bite them. Uh-oh. Time for that hydration break. Time for the hydration break. But yeah, not good news for Team Brazil, because Rafinha is said to be on the sidelines for the foreseeable future of this tournament. It's not known how long he will be out for, but I mean, this is one of those injuries that he's struggled with before during the course of the season. Then Cody Gakpo won the man of the match for after their victory against Sweden. I think that was pretty expected. Okay. So Michael Olise was at the Man City Academy, as well as that of Chelsea. I knew about Chelsea, but Man City now. So Inter Miami complete a deal to sign Carlos Casemiro as a new midfielder. Verbal agreement sealed with all parties involved, and all formal steps resolved. Now waiting to sign and announced the Brazilian Casemiro wants to play with Messi, feature in the MSL. Meanwhile, Real Madrid, in a statement, denied having any agreement on personal terms with Michael Olise, saying in response to reports in various media outlets regarding an alleged interest from our club in Bayern Munich, a player, Michael Olise, Real Madrid wishes to state that it has not had any direct or indirect contact with the aforementioned player, his representatives, or anyone in his entourage. Real Madrid wishes to highlight the excellent institutional relationship it maintains with Bayern Munich, with whom it shares a long history of mutual respect, collaboration, and admiration, and regrets the spread of speculation that does not correspond to reality. Both clubs have always maintained a relationship based on trust and mutual respect, which is reflected, among other aspects, in the shared conviction that any potential interest in a player belonging to the other club must be dealt with first between the entities themselves in accordance with the principles of the institutional loyalty that have historically governed the relations between Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. So that was the statement from Real Madrid regarding. So Ivan Gosand, Simon Adingra, and Seko Fofana are players that have been brought on for Ivory Coast. So that was the statement from Real Madrid. Excuse me, following multiple reports that they had reached an agreement on personal terms in principle with Michael Olise. So basically, they deny anything to that effect. Meanwhile, Alvaro Carreras is expected to stay at Real Madrid this summer because Jose Mourinho wants to keep him. That's contrary to some reports that have linked him with a potential move to Chelsea. Hi, Viola. Good to have you back. It's a pleasure to have you around. You say, how are you? I'm doing all right. How about yourself? Earlier on, I was here with a colleague, a mutual colleague in United Road 10, and he was asking me about your whereabouts, saying you're hiding these days. And I was telling him whatever is keeping you busy must be serious. So we left it at that. Maybe you'll indulge us. Otherwise, are you enjoying the game between Ivory Coast and Germany? Because I, for one, am enjoying it, even though with a certain level of disappointment thus far in how some players have applied themselves. But Seko Fofana is one of those good ones that has been brought on by Team Ivory Coast. Let's hope for the best here. So, come on. Ibrahim Sangare paved the way for Seko Fofana, while Ivan Gosand came on for Bone, and Amadou Diallo paved the way for Simon Adingra. Okay. Oh, 44% of you think German are going to win. Anyway, now that it's 1-1, obviously their chances of winning have gone up compared to what they were at the time when Ivory Coast were leading by 0-0. Oh, come on. How was that not a foul? I mean, you have two players down. The referee says play on. It's a gentleman's game. We are sick and tired. Oh. Okay, Viola is not watching the game. She's a bit busy or caught up with work. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game to watch. Although you're not missing too much, must I admit, it's not as good as the game between Sweden and Netherlands. Not as good as the one we watched between England and Croatia. Not as good as USA versus Paraguay. So really, Simon Adingra was the young player of the tournament from AFCON 2023. Brighton sold him off to Sunderland, where things did not work out really, really well for him. And then I think he was loaned out to somewhere in France. He needs to revive his own career. He needs to revive his own career at this stage. Hmm. 12 minutes left to the end of the 90 minutes. But yeah. Then Adagula said, in my career with the national team, I'll do everything possible to forget this World Cup. That's after Turkey were eliminated last night following their 1-0 defeat at the hands of Paraguay, having lost against Australia in their opening game. So the next game will be up against Team USA for the final game of the group stage. KI saying, waiting for the big match, Ecuador versus Curacao. Oh, I didn't know it was big. I didn't know it was a big match. I didn't think of it in those terms. But unfortunately, I won't be watching that one. But I'll endeavor to wake up on time to try and watch the game between Tunisia and Japan. Hopefully, I can be up in time for that one. You say it's a classic? Oh, you see me yawning? That's because I stayed up the whole of last night watching football. The Germans are sensing that the Ivorians are trying to waste a bit of time. I mean, they must calm down the pressure whenever they feel it. Oh, Fran Witz has been so poor in this game. So poor. Waking up for a football game is wild. Well, it does happen. I did last Sunday. I did the same. I woke up for, what game was it? Let me try to remember. It wasn't Ghana against Panama. Was it? No. It's a game I woke up for. It was Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So this time around, I intend to do the same. I hope I do not sleep a little too much. Absolutely won't do that. Okay, I understand where you're coming from when you say that. But for us, the schedule is Guela Due is being brought on. Guela Due is a brother to Desiree Due. So for us, because so I'll give you an example. Last night, the first game kicked off at 8 p.m. Was it 8 p.m.? No, 10 p.m. That was between USA and Australia. Then the next game at 1 a.m. The next game at 3:30 a.m. between Brazil and Haiti. And then the other game at 6 a.m. So I stayed up to watch all of them. but I did not complete the very last game between Turkey and Paraguay. I only watched the opening half, and I decided to go put my head down. And that was at around almost at 7 a.m. That's when I went to bed. So then I woke up at around 10, didn't do anything, just did some work because I was woken up by a phone call to get some work done, and then got the work done and went straight back to rest. You know, it's the moment you put a deficit in your schedule when it comes to sleep, it comes back to bite you. It comes back to bite you, especially if you're not relying on anything like energy drinks or coffee to keep you alert, that sort of thing. You know, all I was relying on was water, plain water. Yan Diomande has been withdrawn for Nicolas Pepe. It's sad a poor game. The Germans are withdrawing Kai Havertz for Leon Goretzka. You say you need a coffee machine beside you for the World Cup. Indeed, indeed. To stay sane and watch the whole of the World Cup, you need a coffee machine and maybe a basin of cold water to keep your feet in at some point. Because trust me, you're bound to feel a bit sleepy at some point. So at some point yesterday, I started to feel sleep starting to creep in, but I soldiered on through the night. And as we speak, it's 12 minutes to 1 a.m. So you can imagine. But you know, I've ever stayed up for more than 36 hours. Because I remember I went to work on a Friday. We left work, went for a hackathon that went through Friday night and all throughout Saturday. And we got home at about 1 a.m. on a Saturday, and then proceeded to return to the same venue the following day on a Sunday around 10 a.m. So you say sneaky 90 plus 4 Ivory Coast goal. You're praying for that? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Hopefully. We would love to give the Germans a reason to fight for the subsequent game in as far as Group E is concerned. And that game will be against Ecuador. Oh. Becha. Oh, Ivan Guesand. Nicolas Pepe on the break. Here they come. Oh. What was he thinking? Simon Dingra, what was he thinking? As soon as that ball comes, smack it. First time. But he wanted to to try to be smart. But in being smart, he was being stupid. That was put on a silver plate. He may have not scored, but hit it first time and see where it leads. Sometimes these players are hard to defend. But he wanted to take an extra touch. Oh, Nathaniel Brown nearly punished them. Unless Ivory Coast beat Curacao 8-0, German guarantee the first spot. They have to. German have to first overcome Ecuador. If this one ends in a 1-all draw, then they will need to first guarantee that they can, beat Ecuador. Because let's say, what if Ivory Coast beat Curacao and German can only draw or even lose to Curacao, Well, you're saying goal. I'm yet to watch it. So I don't know where the goal has been scored. Here they come. Again, poor through ball for Pepe. The Germans come again. They would want to seal their qualification out of the group. In this one, straight to the goalkeeper. Nathaniel Brown forcing Fofana into a brilliant save there. Vala is telling me to save it. Really? We say 15 minutes extra time. No, it's only 6 minutes. Now, it's hard to defend some of these players. Amiri trying to place the ball against a goalkeeper that has been, by the way, really good in as far as this game is concerned. Go for some power. Do we have a winner in this one, or it's a draw? 1 minute of the 6 added has been played, nearly. First half, they added 7 minutes plus 6. That makes a total of 13 minutes in added time. Come on. Don't complicate it. Put the ball in the box. It's just a poor ball. I think Ivory Coast are happy with the points from the look of things, or they're not going to try and force victory here unless the opportunity presents itself. Ryan Witz has had a poor game. Poor game. The ball much quicker. Joshua Kimmich playing in defense. As a poor ball from Nathaniel Brown. Is it not offside? It's a goal. German 2, Ivory Coast 1. The Ivorians cannot believe it, but somebody slept on the job. That lapse in concentration, Guerra says they are not serious. That lapse in concentration, you're going to get punished. You're going to get punished. Undav with the brace, he scored to restore parity, and now he scored to give them the difference. He's absolutely onside. Control, turn, bang. Simon Adingra covers his sorry face in his shirt because he had an opportunity to send his side 2-1 up, and he decided to act smart. Apologies on the internet glitch. So German 2, Ivory Coast 1, Undav with a second half burst. He came on 68th minute around there and 90 plus something. Looks like what KI had hoped for Ivory Coast, it has fallen to the side of the Germans. Let's see. Can they keep a hold of that lead? The Germans are in sheer celebration. Their flag is black, red, yellow. Uganda's flag is black, yellow, red, with a crested crane in the middle. Julian Nagelsmann is desperate to hear the final whistle. As if they're oblivious to the rules. And it's game over. German 2, Ivory Coast 1. But the rules say it's a minimum of, not a maximum of. Everyone out there congratulating Undav. They have qualified out of the group to the round of 32 with that 2-1 victory. Full-time score, German 2, Ivory Coast 1. Frank Kessie, the goal scorer for Ivory Coast, and Undav with the brace for the Germans. KI says, undeserved, to be honest. Well, you get what you deserve or what you work for. It's because Simon Adingra had an opportunity to score on the other side, and he did it. He had an opportunity to score on the other side, and he did it. Emas Faye will be disappointed in the idea that they did not take away some of their chances, especially at the start of the second half, and that opportunity that fell to Simon Adingra. All he had to do was strike that ball first time, and we would be perhaps having a different discussion or different story altogether tonight. Okay, quickly, let's go through some of the transfer speculation that is making the rounds, because Tottenham are ready to test the water with a bid for Crystal Palace's 22-year-old England midfielder Adam Wharton. That's according to Team Talk, while RB Leipzig have turned down an offer for Jesus Christ. Oh, come on. Anyways, yes, RB Leipzig have turned down an offer worth £87 million from Liverpool for 19-year-old Ivory Coast winger Yan Diomande, as they want up to £113 million. That's according to Liverpool Echo. Fulham have had a £17 million bid rejected by Turkish club Trabzonspor for 22-year-old Nigerian defender Chibukwe Nwau. Okay. Ultimate, you say, bro, what are you thinking about Ivory Coast? Good game. They gave us a good game, but that finishing touch, they just could not have it. Just could not get things over the line. They had some wasted chances. The golden opportunity fell to Simon Adingra. I don't know whether he was caught up in his head, but there was not even a decision to make, because the decision was simply made for him as soon as Pepe passes him that ball, that shoot it first time, and he doesn't. Then Frank Kessie had a poor control of the ball inside the area, and then they had about 2 or 3 chances in the early minutes of the second half, but could not make it count. Okay, then Bayern Munich want to give 24-year-old France winger Michael Olise a lucrative contract in order to fend off interest from Real Madrid and Liverpool. That's according to the Mirror, while Tottenham are not planning to make a move for 24-year-old Marseille striker Mason Greenwood. That's according to Fabrizio Romano, while Everton, Tottenham, and newly promoted Ipswich Town are looking to sign 22-year-old Cameroon forward Carl Eta Young from Levante this summer. That's according to Team Talk. Then Celtic did turn down a £25 million offer from Nottingham Forest in January for 22-year-old Belgium midfielder and Engels, but are open to offers, with Crystal Palace and Borussia Dortmund also interested. Leeds are interested in signing Southampton's Northern Ireland midfielder Shea Charles, who is valued at about £20 million. That's according to the Mail, while Leeds are also looking at a move for German forward Julian Brandt, 30, who is a free agent this summer after leaving Borussia Dortmund. That's according to the Yorkshire Evening Post. And then Wolverhampton Wanderers are keen on bringing Scotland striker Che Adams, 29, back from Torino this summer. That is according to Tutto Mercato in Italian. So that's as far as the speculation goes. Okay. Then Chelsea are keeping tabs on Liverpool's Florian Wirtz, who starred under the new Blues boss Xabi Alonso at Bayern Munich. That's according to Football Insider, but it depends on whether Enzo Fernandez is to leave Stamford Bridge. Then German midfielder Felix Mecha is open to leaving Borussia Dortmund, and both Liverpool and Manchester United are interested in the 25-year-old. That's according to Team Talk. Newcastle could be willing to sell German striker Nick Woltemade with the 24-year-old. With Aston Villa, Dortmund, and Atletico de Madrid among clubs that are interested in his services, while Brighton have made an improved offer for Tottenham 19-year-old Croatian defender Luka Jovic. That's the deal is worth £45 million, including add-ons. RB Leipzig, I expect Paris Saint-Germain to submit an offer for Ivory Coast winger Yan Diomande after turning down a bid worth €100 million from Liverpool. And then if England midfielder Elliot Anderson joins Manchester City, it could spark a domino effect, with Nottingham Forest signing 26-year-old Italian midfielder David Fratesi from Inter Milan, who in turn will look to complete a deal for Liverpool's England Curtis Jones, 25. That's according to Gazette dello Sport. Then Bayern Munich will look to renegotiate Michael Olise's contract amid its interest from Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. That's according to AS in Spanish. And then Real Madrid have denied any reports regarding an agreement with Olise. Then Juventus are willing to sell Canada forward Jonathan David, with the 26-year-old having a 30 million euro asking price. That's according to Corriere dello Sport. While PSG want 40 million euros for Rando Colomwani, and the 27-year-old French forward is keen to a return to Juventus, who are also considering a move for Atletico Madrid's Norwegian striker Alexander Soloth, who is 30. Then Manchester City are close to reaching a financial settlement with Chelsea that will enable them to appoint Enzo Maresca as their manager. That's according to The Guardian. So, United Road 10 says, bro, or no? United Road says, what was that? Well, it was Ivory Coast had many chances to kill the game off, but they didn't, and so they got punished for not taking their chances. That's simply how life works. If you sleep on the job, you get punished. So they got punished for not converting their chances. Guys, it's been nice doing this with you for the last 2 hours. Thank you so much, United Road 10, Ultimate, Viola, KI, Raymond Kangumba, Reluctant Gamer, Ultimate, KI, Cherry, Ribris, Epic Hado name. Thank you so much. And everything types. Romac, and every single one of you that has been part of tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much. Butter, Finger Cool, thank you so much for having been part of tonight's broadcast. Allow me wish you a blessed night, because I need to go rest and wake up early as 7 a.m. to watch that game between Japan. And it's Japan against what? Jesus Christ. How could I easily forget? Japan against Tunisia. Even though I expect Tunisia to be beaten, they already sacked their head coach and they were looking to appoint Hervé Renard. So stay blessed. Until next time, do not miss out on watching that interview that we did with Waki Bender. Bye-bye for now. Peace.